Hi and welcome to a second part of our gig, which is deployment of infrastructure into the cloud, automation of deployment. We are using the tool called Terraform. The cloud is AWS, and today in part two we're going to discuss IAM, which is very probably the most important part of the cloud. Like brakes are most important part of your car. The reason why it is that important is that you potentially using that tool, allowing a user or a virtual user to destroy some system or part of the system which you uh, working on, which let's say a lot of people would be potentially using. Apart from that, you definitely want to make sure the system and auditors of Australia are always auditing the system starting from AI, security and tightness of your system. So it is most important part of it. And apart from allowing or denying a user to do a specific tasks, also what it does, it also allows you to stay in specific zone and not be able to build up like a builder, like a builder, like buildings, the infrastructure buildings, IT infrastructure, in the other sites, in the other geolocations. As an example, if we taking, let's say, Australian tax office, if they built up the infrastructure in Australia and by somehow they decided to move some of it into the cloud, there's definitely an important part of it that they definitely don't want that replication of that software, which contains everyone's identities, to a country like China or any other country. It doesn't matter, even in within Australia, in other city, in other data center. So it is the most important part um, uh, of AWS. So let's look into it and how it is achieved. On a simple example, this example is going to be brought up most likely in your testing for potentially getting a job in the organization you're applying at for. So let's have a look into it. Okay. So this is the dashboard of my test account, which I've got from Amazon. As you can see, we've created one user, one policy, and zero providers at the moment. So let's have a look into that user. So the security of that user which we're using is important and set up within the policy. We can delete all of the policies from the user or add more policies to the user. So you can go add permissions and we can add user to the group which has specific policies, copy all group memberships and permissions from somewhere or attach those policies which you uh, which you can attach to your own policy. So policy can be attached to can be copied or some or policy can be attached to any of those policies can also be attached to your user now as an example, but I won't be doing it. So I'll go back to a user and I will look at the policy which I have created for that user, uh, for um, for an infrastructure which is going to be deployed. So we've got permissions which is looking like that with the restrictions, but it's the best way of looking at it if we're looking in the JSON format. By doing that, we can see here most important parts: actions. So EC2 allowed everything, but if string is condition, if string equals to southeast 2 to Sydney. So here we're saying EC2, which is a server part of AWS. So this is where we actually, it's like in the past we used to go to the data center and we used to purchase a server which used to cost like $2,500, and we used to attach it to the rack. So this is what it is. We're allowing attachment of servers to the rack. So the next one, we're also allowing ECR, which is images, repository for the images, which we create in Docker. We're also allowing everything in Sydney for that particular user who deploys our infrastructure to all of their policies, all of their rights in ECS, which is a Docker. So here we put the image, and here we run that Docker image container within the container. The container in ECS is called Fargate. Okay, so we're allowing in everything for within the elastic load balancing and elastic load balancing tool. So that's a second version, another version of elastic load balancing. Also, we now not allowing everything. So as you can see, allow and star is now turned into this bracket and all of this. So this is what star is. It's IAM, add role instance profile, and so on. So those things were required for IAM role to deliver that project. The project within the role which we create, and the role is under this name. This is the role. Execution role we're touching, and we are touching the instance profile. So resource under this name, which we just have in Terraform. We'll look into it later. You will understand everything, but at the moment let's skip it. So Lambda, we're only giving one right for Lambda, get account settings. That's all. So this is the action of Lambda, nothing else. Resource, but on any resource we can get account settings, no problem, go for your life. And also we restricting it for only this specific region, geographical region. Very, very important. Okay, so we've done it here in the user sort of dashboard. So for this user, we will create access keys, right? So at the moment I've got this key, and this key is active, but I also have a password which I'm not going to display, which is also which we can create. So we can create a new one for command line interface, right? So we can create another access key. So we can use this, and as you can see, I've got the secret as well. So we've got now 2 of them. Sorry, we have to download this file, though I will be deleting it though, but still, I'll download it. Done. And as you can see, we have been warned that this is the only time for this key, but we can create a new access key at any time. So that's basically done. I don't know why it's not going backwards. access key 1. Now we've got the access key 2 as well. Neither used, created today, so we can delete it later on as well. So okay, so I've just deleted that key just for any case. I just want to have one for now, and we could use that key though to later on to log into AWS CLI. But at the moment we want to stay focused on our policies, and if we looked at it in JSON, so we've done it this way. But now let's ask AI if we done it correctly and what AI thinks of it. So let's open the Visual Studio. We have installed extensions. One of the extensions which we installed was the extension of the Terraform. And now we are going to ask chat, which locates here, to create us a policy. And the policy which will have a file allow to EC2 T2 micro instance in Sydney only. Allow to set gateways, use load balancer, ECS and ECR. In the best practices way. Okay, so create AWS policy file mysecurity.json with the following: allow to deploy EC2 T2 micro instance in Sydney only, allow to set gateways, use load balancer, ECS and ECR in the best practical way, and one more time, maybe it's the same, make sure nothing can be done anywhere but in Sydney geolocation. Okay, let's see what it comes up with. And here we go. This is what we've got. So we've got that file now. Keep. So now this file is ours, and this is what it designed. So it's allow T2 micro Sydney only. So it added T2 micro equals if exists, and also allowed a request by region. Here you go. Allow gateway Sydney only. So in Sydney we allow to create net gateway and so on. So for every single action, we can set up a policy, allow policy. We can also deny policies. So by default, sooner or later, auditors will come into the company you're working in and will audit the system. And the first thing which they look at is firewalls and how secure is your how tighten is your system is. So the first word, allow or deny, actually is what they would like to see. They would like to actually see deny rather than allow. It's just a hint for the future. But anyway, let's move forward. So for ECR, we can use the tokens, we can get images, we can put images, etc. We can delete repository. So we can always delete some lines which we don't want to use. And if we never delete, if our script doesn't require deletion of repository, or doesn't require delete repository policy, we can safely, for example, delete it if we don't need it. Okay, so this is for the ECR. ECS, similar thing, and also it's requested region string equals to this. So as you can see, AI helps us quite a bit. And we can check ourselves against AI what would be the best policy. And as you can see, we can do describe all. So we can, if it has describe instances and describe all, we might as well remove the instances because it has describe all. So, and during the testing, when we're going to actually deploy infrastructure, we're going to go over it and check how it works. Okay, thank you for watching part 2, AWS IAM in Identity and Access Management. This tool where we discuss the security and policies and rights of the virtual user, which you allow to that user to deploy infrastructure into the AWS. So please keep safe. Next part is going to be on actual deployment of virtual private clouds infrastructure, creating the gates, gateways, making sure we've got the proper IP addresses, and setting up the Fargate, which is a Docker containers within the AWS ECS services part. And obviously the images of those Docker containers are going to be in ECR into the in our repository. Okay, so see you soon, guys. Goodbye for now. Bye.